Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. First of all, I recognize the sound and the Bhaktanams under the lotus feet of our most worshipful Srila Gurudev, Nitya Leela, Pravishta, all Vishnu Bhaj, Krishna Karunya, Narayan, Gosvami Maharaj, Garupa, Narayan, and all the So in this month, Falgun, just like the month of March, so many festivals. Of course, the highlight is the appearance day of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Purnima. But before that, and all his associates, many associates appearing. So even before Prabhupada appeared, his appearance day yesterday, his dear servant Param Gurudev appeared 2 days before. And also, along with the appearance of Prabhupada, there is also his servant appearance. And today also under this Seva, Saranga, Maharaj. So yesterday we had good fortune to be reminded of how glorious this family of Prabhupada. And we're very fortunate yesterday we had the association of all the so many devotees, especially very senior devotees. And I've seen some of them like really very old, some only one life even, and there's some even their old age, they're coming here to celebrate. There's some coming from Govardhan, like Krishna Maharaj, he was coming alone yesterday. And he said, oh, I'm so tired. Because like he came all the way from Govardhan alone. And he came and I said, oh, give me some water. I'm so tired. So I'll just rest for 5 minutes. And then we gave him a bed. And after that, he said, no, I have to go now. I have to go to the Vaishnava. So then he came here. But not just him, I've seen like someone only even with one leg. And he has this bike and has this, this cane. And coming here, and I see, anyone can celebrate on their own. But here, we can see all the Vaishnavas here and we're celebrating. This is our family and we're discussing the speciality of this family, especially Bhaktisidhanta Thakur. So, very fortunate those who have joined. And last night, we have given a very deep appreciation of really how to see how Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisidhanta Sarasvati Thakur. So now this opportunity has given to give some Pushpanjali, and we take this opportunity to glorify Srila Prabhupada. We know that he is an eternal associate of Sri Radha Krishna and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As the eternal associate of Sri Radha Krishna, she is Mayan Mani Mandari. And as eternal associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is Srila Bhaktisidhanta Saraswati Thakur. He is known as Vimala Prasad. He himself is the Prasadam of Vimala Devi, the mother of the universe. Of course, Vimala is also a name of Srimati Radharani. So many glorifications we have heard yesterday, but it's important to highlight some of the specialities. Like when we talk of Srila Prabhupada, then really we should appreciate that if not for Prabhupada, really, where are we now? It was, even the Goswamis have come. Mahaprabhu has come, the Goswamis have come, and they have written all the books. And it's also not distributed, at that time, distributed all in India, because the disciples of Jiva Goswami have distributed them. Foremost Narottam Das Thakur and others. Then after that, Srila Thakur, like fortified all these teachings. But then after that, we know time passes by and corrupting like teachings, and we know how difficult the time is for actual devotees. So our Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he has come, and again he has written so many things to try to make us understand really what is this teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the teachings of our Goswamis. And ultimately he has given us that gift of Mayapur. But of course, his other gift is his own son, Bhaktisidhanta Sarasvati Thakur, whom, if not for him, then even Bhaktivinoda Thakur was there, his teachings would have also, after some time, become lost. So it was actually Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, like Jiva Goswami. He has gathered all the books of Rupa Goswami and making it so that people will learn and really understand. So all the books of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the teachings of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the gifts, this is distributed foremost because of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Now we have all these very important books, the Jaiva Dharma and all these things. Now we understand the glories of Mayapur. Why? Because of Prabhupada. He made, like yesterday, Prabhuji very clearly said that he made all these training centers. So one is, teachings are there, but for someone to patiently give the facility so people will be trained properly and know. So he gave this training centers of, we call that Gaudiya Mat. And really, with that we have to understand, and Vaishnavas have shown to us that when we talk of Gaudiya Mat, really meaning followers of Srimati Radharani. The first Gaudiya himself is Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Krishna himself. He is the first Gaudiya. And all his followers are also Gaudiya. They are all followers of Srimati Radharani. So, by mercy of Prabhupada, then he has provided us first understanding who is our family, understanding what is really the bloodline of this family. That this family of Mahaprabhu is this Rupanuga Guru Varga, members of this Bhagavad Parampara. So Prabhupada, first thing, he made us understand what is our Parampara. Then we can really see, this is our family, what is the speciality of this family. So at that time, it's very unclear. So many people teaching many in the name of religion, they're teaching so many things. So this is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is showing and trying to teach, that only Shuddha Bhakti, we have to have understanding and discrimination of knowing what is real Shuddha Bhakti. This Anyavilasita Sunyam Gyan Karmadi Anabritam Anukulyena Krishnanushilanam. This is Uttama Bhakti. This is as described by Rupa Goswami. So then, especially in this Uttama Bhakti, like our Rupa Goswami, they are giving this gift, service at the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani, becoming our Palyadasi. This is the speciality of this line, and we see the foremost preachers of this. This Prabhupada is showing to us. Here, after Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami, after the 6 Goswamis, then there's Narottam Shriva Shamananda, then there's Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He's showing to us, this is our parampara. It's not determined by the external line of the diksha, because that's not enough. Just because one has diksha does not make you really a member of this parampara, unless you follow the shiksha. And the pure conception of this shiksha, Prabhupada is showing to us this. So this is Gauravani. This is the teachings. And he's showing to us who is our Ishtadev. And as mentioned by Prabhuji yesterday, as pointed out in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madan Mohan, Govinda, Gopinath. So, and they are not different from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, and in practice of Shuddha Bhakti, Prabhupada is showing this principle of Daidi Varnashram, this principle of Yukta Vairagya. You don't make this show renunciation, this false renunciation. Everything can be utilized in the service of Bhagavan. When at the time of Prabhupada, many would criticize him. Like what kind of sannyasi he is. He's riding train, he's wearing a watch, like this. But he's just showing everything you can utilize in the service of Bhagavan. You accept everything, but without any attachment, but only in the mood of service. So we can see that in all his disciples, because as we know, his disciples, they are all his expansions. Like today, Srila Bhaktisidhanta Goswami's appearance. Prabhupada himself, he has glorified that he is an associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. At one time, Prabhupada was crying and telling he's an associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And many, because we know Prabhupada himself is an associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But in the Leela, like our Goswami is there in the Leela of being sadhaks. So now, we know what he did. He chanted like 3 lakhs Harinam every day. Before he started his preaching mission, he's showing us an example that before you do all these big preaching projects like this, like some people they just chant for 6 months or 1 year, and now they think they're so enthusiastic. I'm going to conquer the world and like this. So, okay, very good to be enthusiastic. But everything has to have foundation. What is our foundation? Very strong bhajan. Like Prabhupada Bhaktivedanta Swami is doing very deep bhajan in Radha Damodar. Before he started preaching to the West, he's following his Guru Maharaj. Before his Guru Maharaj started his Gaudiya Mat. Then he's doing this very strong bhajan. Start chanting 3 lakhs Harinam every day. And living very simple life. So, like this. And we know at that time, Mahaprabhu appeared to him. Mahaprabhu appeared to him and said, don't worry, we will provide you all facility and all manpower to help in this mission. So then, like today I was reading about Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj. One time, Prabhupada, he was on a preaching group in Kanpur. And at that time, Bhaktisidhanta Goswami Maharaj, he was new, and he was not sannyasi. He used to be very good officer in the railways. That's why he's in a very good position. He's coming from a very high class Brahmin family. So then he said that he was not there. He had to go somewhere. So Prabhupada was with the group. Then the local district magistrate came to meet Prabhupada. And they were talking. But then, just before this district magistrate left, he actually gave some very unpleasant comments. He said, so it's your mission to convert all these educated people into mendicants, to make them into all these mendicants. Because he has very qualified disciples. They're all very educated. And he can see it. But he said, you're making them into mendicants. But then he left like this. Prabhupada, he was unhappy. And actually Prabhupada was telling to, at that time his name Atula Chandra. He was telling this. And Atula Chandra, Prabhu could understand, Prabhupada is unhappy. This district magistrate is telling like this. So immediately, without telling Prabhupada, after he went riding his horse carrier, went to this district magistrate and telling you don't know how much trouble you're giving your life by meeting Prabhupada and telling like this. You thinking he's an ordinary person. He's an associate of Bhagavan. And by by like insulting him, you're just ruining 14 generations of your like family, your dynasty. Like this. And actually, he was telling, I'm coming from a high class like Brahmin family, and more higher like that. You know, in the same situation also, like many situations like this that some people would question their activities in Gaudiya. Like they would say, they would see they're publishing in their patrika. Chandra, he's actually the editor of the weekly Gaudiya. So they would go getting subscription, and they would see in the magazine, they're publishing Srimad Bhagavatam. But then they're putting pictures of Thakur, putting pictures of Prabhupada. So then these people, they would say like, Bhagavatam is very like pure, and it's Bhagavan's word. It's completely transcendental. Why putting picture of a mortal man like this? So then immediately, like Maharaj, he was like, because you don't know what is Bhagavat. There's the book Bhagavat and the person Bhagavat, and you have no understanding what's the difference. Therefore, you say like this. Then he would quote verses like Sakshahari Tvainas Masa Sastra. The Guru is the person Bhagavat. You cannot even understand this Bhagavatam without them. And don't think with your material mind, you are putting this mortal person's this picture in the magazine. So like this, and then he would say, I am coming from a very high class Brahmin family, because at that time people have this conception so much of this caste distinctions. So he would give them a taste of their own like medicine. So he said like, I'm coming from a very high class Brahmin family that 14 generations of your family would consider very fortunate if they can drink water from the place where I pass urine. Like that. He would say like that. And the same thing he would tell to this district magistrate, and the same thing, in the same mood, he would even tell one time all the Gaudimas were banned from coming inside the temples here in Vrindavan. Because the panda of this monkey Bihari was telling, they are Harijan. Like, they have this term before, Harijan, considered like low caste people, like this, but really Harijan means people of God, people of Hari. But that is like the term they used to say the poor people, like many outcasts. And Gandhi was actually the one who popularized this. Like he's the champion, the friend of all this Harijan, like this. But they're telling like, they're low caste people, don't welcome them in the temple. So the same way also, he meeting with the Pandit of the Gosai in Madan Mohan temple, and telling the same. Remember, as he's gathering all the Brahmin disciples of Prabhupada and approaching them and said like, what have we done that is against Shastra, that's against the principles of real Dharma, that we are following, like what is against, that we are contradicting the principles of Varnashram Dharma, like this. That you will not allow us, and you give us like restriction from coming even to see Bhagavan. So he said, you see, I'm coming from, I forgot what type of Brahmin family. And he said, like, remember the time when like all these Brahmins you sent to our family to be accepted as a wife in our, like, one, I think his daughter, husband of his daughter, I think. Then he said, and we refused, because we cannot even, we hate the idea even to take, like, kneel with you, to eat with you, with your group, like this. And now you are thinking that we are not welcome, and more than that, you think that my Guru Maharaj I am coming from high class Brahman, I surrender to this Guru, to my Guru Maharaj, and thinking that he's an ordinary person. So he's telling like this also to this district magistrate. And so the district magistrate was so scared. And immediately he came and went to Prabhupada and apologized. And even giving some donation. So like this is always there, showing how much of like nishtha he has to Prabhupada. And try to correct these very dangerous situations with people committing offense to Prabhupada. In this way he's helping them. And they all become favorable later on. So Prabhupada himself, at that time, he was telling like, he has sent, Mahaprabhu has sent as he promised. So he's one of the dear associates of Prabhupada. So we know how now in Braj, Prabhupada's legacy is there by all these dear disciples. So our Srila Bhaktisidhanta Saraswati Thakur, then he's showing to us this principle of Shuddha Bhakti, Yukta Vairagya, Bhagavad Parampara, all these things, and especially showing the importance of this Brihat Mridanga, this service in the production of books like this. So, and we know by Prabhupada's arrangement, as his desire, then he tried to send as many as possible, like widely, this preaching to the West. And therefore, his desire has been fulfilled. Now, then, all these teachings is all over the world. So, we are forever indebted to Prabhupada. Srila Gurudev once, he said, in his pranam mantra, we pray to Prabhupada as, we pray, Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Pristaya Bhutale. Bhaktisidhanta Sarasvati. They're saying, he is Bhaktisidhanta Sarasvati. As Mahaprabhu's dear associate. And then Madhur Ujwala Premadya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida. This is Madhur Ujwala Prem. He's giving this Madhur Ujwala Prem, the same prem that our Goswamis have given. The one Mahaprabhu is actually trying to offer to the world for his associates. So otherwise, Guru said, if not for Prabhupada, how we know all these things? It was by mercy of Prabhupada that the book of Thakur is given. Not just that, all the writings of our Goswamis are collected by his disciples. They were not collected. Sometimes we think that the Babajis, they own everything. Actually, of course, everyone was. The term Babaji really is like is not referred to a certain organization. Many of our Guru Varga, like our Goswamis, they are living like Paramhamsa. So they're offered that respect of Babajis. But then there's a section of those devotees who pretend or showing that they're Paramhamsa, but they're actually living like immoral lives. So this is a very unfortunate situation, and this is causing like bad reputation to Vaishnavas. So during Prabhupada's time, this has been completely like corrected. People are beginning to see, oh, Vaishnavas are actually they're following. They're not like against society. They're following their dharma. Oh, they have some different. There are some students, they have grihastha, and Prabhupada also giving sannyas. So they're not breaking the society. But everything they're using for service of Bhagavan. Not using for promoting like caste, like superiority, like this. So, and when it comes to like properties, like books and writings of our Goswamis, many are from gathered by like renunciants that we call Babajis. But sometimes the idea is that, they're all actually coming from the Sahajya group. But no, actually during the time of Prabhupada, many of these books were collected by our Gosvami. But they're all in Bengali, and so now they're being translated into English. So it is by word of Prabhupada that now they're all available. So many gifts he has given, and on his appearance, then we can appreciate all these gifts. So not just this, but all his followers, all his extensions. That now we are very fortunate to be in this line. So for yesterday was Srila Giri Maharaj, his appearance today. He has chosen to leave this world on this day of Prabhupada. And I can only somehow appreciate that he's trying to hide his glories and showing that really he's in this mind of Prabhupada. Sometimes we think ISKCON is making many new changes, but no. Even the time of Bhaktisidhanta Sarasvati Thakur, of Srila Giri Maharaj, he's showing that the principles taught by Srila Bhaktisidhanta Swami is the same principles. He's very loyal to his Gurudev. And some Siddhantas may not be understood very nicely, but Srila Giri Maharaj, he would nicely explain it and show this is the actual Siddhanta, like this. So we know Srila Giri Maharaj, his glory is only because we have association of his disciples. And I have actually not met him. I've heard some of his classes because by the mercy of his disciples, then it's all available everywhere on the internet, and he has his books also. But from hearing directly from his disciples and the Vaishnavas, then we can see, such a great personality. It is said that not just him, he's actually coming from very high-class devotee family. He himself was telling that his grandfather, he witnessed himself. His grandfather, he left this world on Advaita Saptami. A day before that day, he said, tomorrow is Saptami, this month of Magh. And I said, okay, I will leave my body tomorrow. So he already telling his son. So that means his father and his uncles. So then the next day, he brought them outside the house, facing the sun. And then they're having kirtan. And his grandfather was asking, is the road to Puri clear? Have the pilgrims arrived in Puri? And his son, meaning his uncle, was telling, yes, now everyone in Puri. And so he said, okay, I will go. And in the middle of kirtan, he left his body in that month of Magh. And the same with that son, later on, his uncle. It's the same also in the Purnima of Magh. They all left in this month. They chose this month of Magh. Like many of our Guru Varga also, they're living in this month of Magh. Bhishma Dev also choosing the time, waiting for this time. So on the Purnima, the appearance day of Narottam Das Thakur, the same thing. They chose that, and in the middle of Kirtan. His father also the same, on the same day, like this. So he's coming from that kind of family. So he said he was born already pure devotee. And he was never in any of these materialistic activities. Always absorbed. Sometimes he would be embracing Srimad Bhagavatam while sleeping, like this. So he said that later on, of course, he was in family life, but after some time, he decided I'll take sannyas. But then he was going around everywhere looking, who can give me sannyas? Who's my Gurudev? And we all know, so he even went to Mathura, and some inspiration there from Gurudev to come here in Vrindavan, Krishna Karunya Mandir, where there he met his Gurudev, Srila Bhaktisidhanta Swami Prabhupada. And so everyone knows how, from the very beginning, very first meeting of Prabhupada tell him, have you taken sannyas? And he said, yes. And he said, no. He said, I will give you. So he had that desire. Prabhupada, he saw, Prabhupada knows. And so he was confirmed that he is my Gurudev. And he said on his Diksha day, Prabhupada gave him also sannyas. And many others complained even, like, Prabhupada, how you can give him sannyas? He's very new. And Prabhupada said, you are new. He's not like you. He's from birth, like already a devotee, Mahabhagavat. So there's so many glorifications of him. Later on, we know that service that he has done. He has in Bhubaneswar, now they have this great, not big temple. And Prabhupada really had that desire that, they will have a temple of Jagannath. He said his disciples cannot enter Jagannath Mandir. And that's understandable, because that has been the policy even the time of Mahaprabhu. Even Haridas Thakur or Goswamis don't go there, or cannot go there. But Prabhupada said, but we should have our temple where everyone can have darshan of Jagannath and worship Jagannath. So he said, you establish this place in Bhubaneswar. And he has dedicated fully establishing this. Prabhupada himself came there and stayed there for, if I'm not mistaken, 17 or 18 days, staying there. So he has translated many books of Prabhupada to Oriya language like this. So he said later on in his life, he is exhibiting all the symptoms of bhav. His body colors changes, sometimes green, like reddish, and and he's like appearing like sick, and people don't understand. His disciples are so much like feeling so much problem. They would consult many Ayurvedic doctors. Some even called like exorcists, like thinking some ghost maybe like this. And they one Ayurvedic doctor is like, no, this is not like sickness. He even said like, these are these symptoms of bhav. And our Akinchan Krishna Babaji Maharaj, he also confirmed. Okay. So, very rare opportunity like to meet devotees like this. So Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj is that kind of caliber. He is very fearless, we know. And you can listen how fearless. And how he become absorbed also in kirtan. And we can see, like, we meet some of his disciples, the way they talk, and also like how he is talking very strong, like this. So, if we are remembering him, he said that on Prabhupada's appearance day, yesterday, he was in Mayapur. He was asked some questions about like Mahaprabhu. He became absorbed in remembering Mahaprabhu, and at some point he stopped, and he could not continue anymore, and he said Namkuro, like he was telling everyone to just chant. Then after that he just left like this. So of course so many more glories, but it's only how much time and capacity to glorify, but we pray unto this great personality so that they continue to bless us. They are our well-wishers and help us, guide us along the way to become qualified servants of our Gurudev and bona fide member of this family.
ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय जनाय कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। अन्येयं श्रीगुरुवरं श्रीरूपानुरूपं रजस्वतितं च नमः। श्रीगुरुचरणं वन्दे नमनतिष्ठाय भूतले रूपं च भगवतीनाय। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण But all I offer my spiritual obeisances at the lotus feet of our spiritual masters, Fly Shiva Bhaktivedanta Shri Narendra Swami Maharaj Giri. Fly Shiva Bhaktivedanta Shri Ram Swami Maharaj Giri. The entire Upanagari Guru Vaira. So I can't get anything there. Especially, Prabhupada, Srila Bhakti, even I think yesterday was the disappearance of an associate of Mahaprabhu called Purushottam Thakur, who is one of the daughters of Gosvamis. So in his disappearance there was yesterday. Also today is the appearance there that we just heard, Srila Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj. Also Srila Bhakti Bodhar Shakti Maharaj. His appearances are also today. So Vaishnavas are, by their causeless mercy, they are given opportunity for us to glorify our Guru Varga, and they give us lot of time also. Yesterday, I think when you offer the Pushpanjali, Pranam Mantra, not more than 15 seconds. only like within like 5 minutes you have to say everything, whatever like you have learned so far, and then in this way they offer you Pushpanjali as short duration as possible. But right now, very mercifully, giving us a chance to speak and offer a Pushpanjali to our hearts condemned. Because in this way, they know all our miracles go away in this way. So, like we heard yesterday, so many Vaishnavas came and Vaishnavas also reiterated the fact that how we should serve these Vaishnavas, how they come from everywhere. So least we can do is at least come and offer them pranams. No, even if you don't like come there, at least like you walk pastors, you offer them pranams. Just tell them Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. They'll be happy because all these Vaishnavas they barely come to the other side of Vrindavan. They all live in Prachin Vrindavan. They all live on the other side of Vrindavan, so they barely come here because it's like new Vrindavan for them. So it's a very good opportunity when they're coming, try serving them as much as possible, like in any small way. So yesterday we heard them all speak on the glories of Prabhupada, and in the evening we heard the Vaishnavas speak on the glories of Srila Prabhupada. So in this way, we see that Srila Bhaktisidhanta says of Prabhupada, we see that just to speak a few words about his appearance, how he was born. So we heard that when he was born in Jagannath Puri, like we heard yesterday evening, that the carriage of Jagannath church stopped in front of Bhaktivedanta Thakur's house. Then, as you know, when the Prasad Mala of Jagannath they fell on him, then the chariot started moving. So just like Narottam Thakur, when he was born also to his parents, Raja Krishnananda and his mother Narayani Devi, so that time what happened? Narottam Thakur also would not eat anything. Even he would not eat anything until his Annaprasana was performed. But then only his Annaprasana ceremony was performed how? By offering him this Mahaprasad. And only then Narottam Thakur started eating something. So similarly, Prabhupada also, the first grains he ever received was Jagannath Mahaprasad. Therefore he was called Bimala Prasad, in the mercy of Bimala Devi. Like we see the Bhaktivedanta Thakur, he named all his sons this way. Bimala Prasad, Kamala Prasad, Lalita Prasad, this way. And we hear also that as he was growing up, how Bhaktivedanta Thakur, when he would go speak in various gatherings, Prabhupada would also follow him from behind. And he'd take all his books with him, like Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Vichal Nijamani, and all these books on his head. And wherever his father would go, he would accompany his father. In this way, Bhaktivedanta Thakur, as and when he would speak Harikatha, Prabhupada, because he was a Shrutidhar from birth. From birth, whatever he listened, he did not forget. So in this way, whatever Bhaktivedanta Thakur would be speaking in his katha, every word he'd be taking in, not making sure that he never forgot anything. And then we say that after some time, as years went by, when Bhaktivedanta Thakur had to go somewhere for his work, then he told Prabhupada, now you speak Harikatha for some time. And then by the time I return, you can speak for a few days. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur was very liberal-minded, in the sense that he wanted people to anyhow come and join Mahaprabhu's mission. Therefore we say that in Mayapur, in the birthplace of Mayapur, he used to invite everyone. Not just like the Gaudiyas per se, like not just the Gaudiyas who chant the Mahamantra, but even those who chant the Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Shri Radhe Govinda. All these people said invite. Because anyhow he wanted them to come and join Mahaprabhu's fold. He was in that mood. But then Prabhupada, he saw that now so much preaching has been done. So therefore now he realized that now some cleansing should be done. So when he'd speak Harikatha in such a way, in such a strong way, that whoever would listen would leave. Because he'd speak such strong katha. And whoever would listen could not tolerate that, the unpalatable truth. So they'd all end up leaving. And then finally only 2 or 3 would stay. And then Prabhupada said, this is enough for me. Rather than having like hundreds of them, 2 or 3 is enough for me. And when Bhaktivinoda Thakur would return, he'd see only 2 or 3 sitting there. So in this way, Bhaktivinoda Thakur would say, where are the rest? And he'd say, oh, they couldn't bear to hear the truth. Therefore they all left. So then Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he saw from his very childhood how he was growing up. Then we hear that as he was growing up, he also received the Kurma mantra from Prabhupada, from his father, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. But it is important to know that he never addressed Bhaktivinoda Thakur as his father actually. He always addressed him as his prabhu. Because he never saw him as a worldly father. He always saw him as his guru, as his Siksha guru. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he wanted to make sure that people will not misunderstand the relationship. Therefore, he did not give him Diksha. Because that time there were all the Jati Goshais who were believing in this seminal birth. That only the son of a Goshai can be a Goshai, no one else. So therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, if I give you Diksha, then the same process might continue. So therefore, this is not proper. Therefore, we know that whom did he say? He recommended Sri Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj, saying you must go to him and take Diksha from him. So in this way, he went to Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj. And then we know that Babaji Maharaj, he would never even open his eyes. By now, he had become like blind in the sense, now he said, I have nothing else to look in this world. Now I have seen whatever there is to be seen, no, I will not look at anything else. So he would just close his eyes and do bhajan. So there, Babaji Maharaj, weeping, he wrote this kirtan. This Kotai Go Prema Mai Radhe Radhe. Just weeping. And then Prabhupada, when he heard this kirtan, he himself wrote it down. And then he started publishing it. He started publishing it everywhere. So therefore, this kirtan that we sing, Kotai Go Prema Mai Radhe Radhe, is like the mercy of Prabhupada. He was the one who noted down and wrote it down. Just as Bilamanga Thakur was blind, so how could he write the verses of Krishna Karunya down? Krishna himself heard these verses. They were giving him so much pleasure to his ears. They were like nectar for his ears. And he himself wrote all these verses down. So in this way, Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj, he refused to give Prabhupada initiation, saying, oh, you're the son of a great personality, you yourself are so educated, so scholarly. Me, I don't even know how to sign my name. So how can I give you initiation? So in this way he refused. And then Prabhupada, he would go and request him again, once, twice, thrice. He'd say, oh, I've forgotten, I wanted to ask Mahaprabhu, but now I forgot. Oh, I forgot to ask Nityananda Prabhu. Forgot to ask Radha and Krishna. So in this way, he refused him so many times. And then finally, Prabhupada came to such a stage that he said, if Babaji Maharaj will not give initiation, I will not take from anyone else. And he resorted to give up his life. So then Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he told Babaji Maharaj, saying, no, if you don't give initiation to this young boy, he will give up his life. So then he gave initiation. In this name, he gave Ashabanavi Devi Daitadas. Therefore, he was the only disciple of Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj. Babaji Maharaj had no other disciple. Like we know that history, that when Babaji Maharaj, he said that when I leave this body, tie my body to a horse and drag it all around Navadvip. Make sure my body is entirely covered in the dust of Navadvip. So this he spoke out of great humility. But then some devotees, they took it literally, saying this should be done. So as and when they were ready to make all these arrangements, then Prabhupada immediately came. He said, what are you doing? This body is like the Mahaprasad. Like Param Gurudev gives an example. When a snake, what does it do? It leaves its skin behind. And then the snake moves on. Similarly, at Guru Varga also, when they leave their bodies, it is not just that, oh, now they've just left their bodies and they're just gone in somewhere else. Rather, their external form, which is also most worshipful, that they leave behind for the benefit of all the sadhaks. And then they enter into Samadhi. What is the meaning of Samadhi? Samadhi means to enter into equal intelligence, equal services, equal status as one's worshipful deity. Like we hear, that his worshipful deity was Rup Manjari. So he's entering into the same mood. Krishna Smaram Janantasya, Krishna Karunya Samhitam, Tattat Kadatascha, so Kuryat Masam Rajesana. That just as the Vrajavasis serve, in that same mood he's entering also. So he said, Prabhupada, he said, I will not let anyone touch Babaji Maharaj's body. Anyone who has not touched a lady for 1 year, they should come and claim. And then he said, 6 months. And then he said, 1 month. He said, 1 week, and then 1 day. He said, this way, nothing. No one is qualified to touch him. Or else, you'll all burn to ashes. So very scared of Prabhupada. And immediately he took the body away of Srila Babaji Maharaj and he placed him in Samadhi there. And then again, when the Ganga was overflowing her banks, and when she wanted to reclaim this divine body of Babaji Maharaj, she wanted to take this Babaji Maharaj's body into a lap. So then anyhow, Prabhupada, he said, oh no, but this cannot happen because his form should be preserved for the benefit of his future generations. So then immediately Param Gurudev came and then this Samadhi and placed him there in Mayapur. So this way we see that Srila Prabhupada's legacy is felt to such astonishing degrees. We see that from his very childhood actually. His elder brother, once when he was leaving his body, he said, oh, I want the Charnamrit of my younger brother, he said, of Vimala Prasad. Because in my previous life, I was a Ramanuja Vaishnava and I had committed an offense to his lotus feet. So kindly give me his Charnamrit. And then as and when they gave the Charnamrit, he passed away. This was seen even in his childhood, even before he renounced home. And then this way we see that as he was growing up, Bhakti Thakur was thinking that somehow he should engage him. So then he engaged him in this, as a teacher, as a tutor to this prince. But then as we know, just as Narad Rishi, when he gave instructions to all these sons of Taksha, they all became very renounced. Similarly, this prince also became very renounced. And on the insistence of his mother, anyhow, Prabhupada had to leave that position. But by then he had already read all the books in the king's library. So his objective was fulfilled. And then he was approached by Ashutosh Mukherjee himself, the founder of this Calcutta University. At that time, the jurisdiction of the Calcutta University extended from Lahore in Pakistan to Rangoon in Burma. So all the colleges in Pakistan, in Bangladesh, in India, in Sri Lanka, Ceylon, and in Burma, Rangoon. This was like Akhanda Bharat before. They were all under the jurisdiction of Calcutta University. So we can imagine, before it was such a big university. It was founded in 1857. So then, he himself requested Srila Prabhupada, saying, please, you accept this post of astrology. He said he refused. He said, no, not come to count stars, or count the number of particles of dust. He said nothing, only come to preach the mission of Mahaprabhu. So this way, gradually, he started preaching this mission. So it's important to know what his mission was. Because sometimes we get a little confused and sidetracked. Because we think that his mission was only to cut away the jungles of Mayavad, Buddhism and all these other things that were prevalent in society. But what is the real mission? Now, his real mission, like we were just hearing now, this Madhura Jala Premadhya, Shri Rupa Nuga Bhaktida, Shri Gaur Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namaste. What is this Madhura Jala Bhakti? No, like we see in the definition of Bhakti from the Mundakya Upanishad, it says, Tatvigyatam evam Guru Abhigachet Stotriya Brahmanishtam Samit Paniya Stotriyam Brahmanishtam. That you must approach a Guru who is Brahmanishta. What is the meaning of Brahmanishta here? No, one can think, does that mean only believing in this formless Brahma, the effulgence of Krishna? But then it goes on to say that Vadanti Tattva Vidasya Jnanam Advayam Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagwaniti Shabdate. That this Advaya Gyan Paratattva is known as Brahma, Paramatma and Bhagavan. But still, who is this Bhagavan? How do we worship him? In which mood? So then it was Mahaprabhu, he asked Raghupati Upadhyay, that what is the goal of our sadhana, of our bhajan? So then Raghupati Upadhyay, he said, this Shyam Evam Param Rupa, Puri Madhupuri Vara, Vaya Kaishoraka Deyam, Atrevo Parorasa. He said that Shyam himself, Shyam Sundar, Brajendra Nandan Shyam Sundar, he is our Aradhya Dev. And Puri Madhupuri Vara, this abode of Vrindavan, that is our most worshipful abode. And Vaya Kaishoraka Deyam, his age as a Kishore, this is most worshipful for us. And Adya Evo Parvorasa, this Adiras, this Madhuriras, this is most worshipful for us. So when Raghupati Upadhyay spoke these words, Mahaprabhu became so happy. And this is what Prabhupada came to give us also. He said that Brajendra Nandan Shyam Sundar, he is our worshipful deity. Vrindavan Dham is our worshipful Dham. And this Krishna in his youthful form as Kishore, this is most worshipful for us, not even Bal Gopal. This form as Krishna, as the beloved of Srimati Radhika. And then Adya Parvorasa, this Adiras, Shingaras is most worshipful for us. So this way he came to give us this most wonderful form of praying, Prabhupada. And he was so scholarly that when he'd speak, once one person from somewhere in England or somewhere, he came and he heard when Prabhupada spoke. And he spoke with such profound realization that he said, I've never heard any other scholar all over India speak in such a way, he said. This is the only person I came across who spoke in such a way. So in this way, yesterday was Avirbhav Tithi also. And also, like we heard, the disappearance day of Srila Giri Maharaj. So some disciples, they themselves recollected some of their exchanges with Giri Maharaj and Srila Gurudev. Because Giri Maharaj, he entered into Samadhi in 96. And then they all started coming and seeing Gurudev in 96 in Mathura. So then Gurudev, he told one of these disciples that I had a dream. In this dream, he said, your Guru Maharaj, he came to me in this dream. And he said, oh Maharaj, if you are happy, I am happy. And if you are unhappy with someone, I am also unhappy with someone. So in Gurudev, he looked at these disciples and he said, do you believe me that your Guru Maharaj appeared in my dream? And they said, yes. And then Gurudev smiled. And then Gurudev said, I had another dream. He said, in that dream, Kali Maharaj, he approached Krishna. And Kali Maharaj, he approached Krishna and he said that if you do not take this Maharaj away from this world, both this Maharaj, Gauragovinda Maharaj, if you do not take Gauragovinda Maharaj away from this world, he said, my mission will be finished, he said. He's preaching with such force that my mission will be finished. So then Kali Maharaj fell at the feet of Krishna. And he said, please take him away from here. So we see Gauragovinda Maharaj, he preached in such a way that Kali Maharaj himself started fearing for his life. With such force he was preaching that. Gauragovinda Maharaj used to say that I have come to sell mirrors in the land of blind men, he said. All of you are blind, but still I am selling mirrors, I am still giving this Braj Bhakti. Although you are not qualified. This way. And then once they had a bone scraping operation on Gauragovinda Maharaj. Like once Gurudev also, no, he had this heart operation in Delhi and he was chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. And all the doctors, they could not believe what they were hearing. Similarly, even once they were performing a bone scraping procedure on Gauragovinda Maharaj. And then, even then he was reciting this verse, Tatena Kampam Sutamikshmano Gunjani Vapatam Vipaka. So he was reciting this verse the whole time. This is the fruit of my karma, this is the fruit of my karma, this is the fruit of my karma. The doctors had only given him an anesthesia shot also. He said, Maharaj, how are you reciting this verse when we have given you these shots? But Gauragovinda Maharaj didn't give any attention to that verse. He just kept saying, Tatena Kampam Sutamikshmano, Tatena Kampam Sutamikshmano. So he's such a brilliant personality. Gurudev used to say that he said after sawing Maharaj, there's one pure devotee in ISKCON. That is Gauragovinda Maharaj, he said. And then Gurudev used to say that he is truly in my line, he said. And Gurudev, he paraphrased the whole thing, he said, rather, I am in his line, Gurudev said. First he said, he is in my line. And then he said, no, I am in his line, he said. So Gurudev also has so much love for him. Like, Gurudev would say that Gauragovinda Maharaj was a manifestation of Abhiram Thakur. He chastised people in such a way. And there's that Leela, no, that when Radharani in separation from Krishna, she was saying that, oh, tie my body to a tamal tree, or if I leave my body, let my hair mix with the courtyard of Nanda Bhavan. and then let the fire in my body mix with the fire of Nanda Bhavan. So actually, when the devotees performed this drama play in front of Gurudev, Gurudev was weeping so much. Then Gurudev, he asked the devotees, this Leela no one knows, he said. He said, no one has spoken about this Leela. How did you know? Where was this Leela spoken? Then the devotees who performed the drama, they told Gurudev that Giri Maharaj, he had actually published a book about this Leela. And Gurudev was weeping so much. And Gurudev said, oh really? He has also spoken about this pastime. Then he said, yes. Then he said, our hearts are one, he said. Gurudev said, I've gone through all the scriptures, everywhere, but this pastime is not mentioned anywhere, he said. This pastime is actually a revelation of a pure devotee. So in this way, it was such a wonderful Vaishnava. And just to keep it short now, we're running out of time. So Bhaktisidhanta Goswami Maharaj also, we know how when he came to the temple, by the preaching of Nishikinta Sanyal, and it was Param Gurudev himself who started cooking everything for him. Even though they were penniless, they had nothing. Started cooking sabjis, everything for him. And then he fed Bhaktisidhanta Goswami Maharaj and his other devotee, Atindriya Prabhu. And they became so happy, they started giving 5 rupees a month. And then after that, he even joined the temple. It is said that when he went preaching in the West, Prabhupada, it was Ekadashi, but Prabhupada said, give him rice, give him sabji and all these things. They said it's Ekadashi. But he said, if he goes to the West, every day is Ekadashi for him. So give him something. But then Saranga Goswami Maharaj, he fell at the feet of Prabhupada and he said, Prabhupada, please, I'd rather follow Ekadashi. I know how much mamata you have for me. And then once Prabhupada, he sent him a money order from India, but he didn't have any proof to collect that money. So then there was a newspaper he came across. In that newspaper, there was a picture of Saranga Goswami Maharaj and this Zetlin, who was like the Viceroy General of Britain. So then immediately went and showed that picture to the cashier in the bank, saying, you want proof? This is proof. And the cashier thought, oh, who is this personality? Immediately he gave the money there. And then there he even found a deity of Adoksaj Vishnu there also in the park. And then he brought that deity to Prabhupada. And after some time, after Prabhupada disappeared, even this deity disappeared also. No one knows what happened to that deity there. And in this way, when he was preaching, once he was preaching in Naimisharanya, and there, some person had promised to give some land. But then the British government said, rather than giving land away to a temple, you must build something here and provide employment. So when Saranga Goswami Maharaj heard this, he became so angry. He said, I'll file a defamation case against you. In all the newspapers everywhere, we printed ads, articles everywhere. Now you're saying this? And that person got very scared. And he said, oh, I take back my word and give you the land. He said, not just giving the land, pay a fine also of 5,000 rupees. Then he also gave a fine. And so the temple was built. And this way he preached. And therefore Prabhupada used to call him Aprakrit, Bhakti Sarang Prabhu. So lastly, with Bhakti Buddha Giri Maharaj, it is said that his name was before Ram Gopal Chattopadhyay. So he was working in Jamshedpur. So then he got the Gaudiya magazine. And when he was reading this Gaudiya magazine, he became so impacted, kept so influenced by the teachings that he immediately joined. Then when he was given initiation, he was given the name Ram Govind Dasadikari. And then Prabhupada gave him this title, Vedanta Bhudev. Because he was always absorbed in reading the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam. And Prabhupada said, oh, you like reading the 11th canto so much. Then he said, in the 11th canto, even the sannyas upakyan is mentioned there. So therefore I'm giving you sannyas, because you like this 11th canto so much. And then on the same day as Sridhar Maharaj's sannyas ceremony, he also got sannyas there. And then it said his main preaching, his main seva was that he was the editor of the Bhagavat magazine in Hindi. And then Gurudev said even after Param Gurudev disappeared, he had some questions about Jaiva. So we know that past time that Param Gurudev told Gurudev to pray to Bhaktivinoda Thakur. But also, Gurudev said, I asked Shauti Maharaj many questions, he said. Shauti Maharaj also answered so many of my questions. And we know how Shauti Maharaj, when he came to Mathura, he had so much love and affection for Gurudev. His sadhan bhajan pranali. So this way, all these glorious Vaishnavas, they appeared on this glorious sthiti. And then this way, they blessed us. So we can only hope that such blessings will be showered upon us conditioned souls, except for the Vaishnavas in ours. That in this way, all these blessings can be showered upon us by the representative, and then we make our lives successful.
चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः वञ्चाकल्पतरुभ्यस्तत्पासिन्धवेवतां निधानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. First of all, offer my sustenance, pranam, thousands of times, the Lord Sita Shri Paramarajadam Guru Pada Padma Om Vishnu Pada Stotra Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Gosvami Maharaj Shri Gurudev. Secondly, I offer my sustenance, pranam, thousands of times, the Lord Sita my Shri Rupanuga Gaudi Guru Varga. I offer my sustenance, pranam, to all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavas. We are celebrating the Vyas Puja Tithi of Srila Jagadguru Bhaktisidhanta Sarasvati Thakur Prabhupada. Also, Param Gurudev, and now Saranga Gosvami Maharaj, Sri Gurudev Sri Goswami Maharaj. So all these associates of Prabhupada, you can see that their Vyas Puja Tithi is coinciding same time with the Vyas Puja of Prabhupada. Therefore you can understand they have a Nitya Sambandha with Prabhupada. Because it is said like in Shastra, for instance, that before the Guru awakes, the disciple should awaken. Only after the Guru goes to sleep, the Guru should take rest. And after the Guru takes on his Mahaprasad, then the disciple on his Mahaprasad. This way always taking the remnants. And always being ready. Seva Sukam Chatmana, always being ready for that service of Sri Guru Varga, Guru Dev. So therefore, the Parikas, the associates of Prabhupada, you can see they have all arrived, they've all taken their Vyas, they've all come during this time, before Prabhupada's Tithi, around this time. Why? Because they are now preparing, getting ready for Prabhupada's Seva and to serve him. And this is, you can see, this Sambandha, it is eternal, it is Nitya. Guru and disciple's relationship is eternal. Therefore Prabhupada, he had so many Antaranga Parishads. And we know that Vinod Bihari Brahmachari, he was Anyadam, he was foremost of all of them. And we can see even Saranga Goswami Maharaj, it was Vinod Bihari Brahmachari who brought him to Prabhupada. He was the Vaishnava explained, Gurudev also has explained that they were actually very high position in the railway, Indian railways. And their name was Krishna Bandhopadhyay, I think, and Atul Chandra Bandhopadhyay. There were two disciples, two officers who were working there. And they had heard about Mayapur. After Bhakti Thakur had established Mayapur, and at that time, the glories of the Mahaprabhu's birthplace, automatically it began spreading. Like a lotus, when it opens, then its fragrance naturally spreads everywhere. And you can smell that lotus miles away. So when Mahaprabhu's birthplace was established by Bhakti Thakur and Jagannath Babaji Maharaj, then naturally the glories of Mayapur Dham, Yoga Pit, that Shuddha Bhakti, that Mahaprabhu's glories, Unnata Ujjvala Prem Ras, then all the fragrance of that began spreading everywhere. So they heard about these glories of Mayapur, glories of Prabhupada, and they wanted to come and see, visit. At that time there was no proper roads, even the railway line, it only went up to Krishna Nagar. And that's from there it's like 20 kilometers walk to Mayapur. 10, 15, 20 kilometers like that. So, anyway, they came as far as they could, and it was a hot month. May, June, like this. And they were walking, they arrived there in Mayapur around 3 o'clock, 2, 3 o'clock. At that time already Thakur is being closed, and all Vaishnavas, they are chanting their Harinam in their bhajan kutir, taking rest, anything. There was no one there. But Vinod Bihari Brahmachari, he was the superintendent, manager of all Gaudiyamas, especially Brajpatan, Narahari Sevikapu and Vinod Bihari Brahmachari, they were always there looking after and serving. So Vinod Bihari Brahmachari, he was moving around, cleaning, serving, checking everything. That time he saw all these two distinguished gentlemen, they came. Immediately he came and gave them some gamcha. Said, oh, take back to Radhakund, Shamakund. It's called Brajpattan. Why? Because there Prabhupada had established Giridhari, Govardhan, Radhakund, Shamakund, everything there. It's not different. So you take some rest. It's very hot now. I will arrange for your prasad. And immediately, Vinod Bihari, he is never going to kitchen and cooking. But he knows everything. Because he is Vinod Manjari. So naturally he went and gathering some leaves and sticks and everything. He started fire. He put rice. Then in that rice water, he took one cloth, put dal and he fried. And he put some aloo also in. Some aloo and a few vegetables in that rice water also. By the time the rice was boiled, the dal was boiled, and the vegetables and aloo was boiled. And taking the dal out, and he choked the dal. Taking the aloo out, and some of the aloo he made into dry sabji, chomped, and some he took the water from boiled water with aloo and other sabji he made into rasa. Immediately he's pasting, and he made chutney and some fruit cutting and some lemon and ginger and chili, everything. Before when they had come back and they saw, oh, so many items, big feast, and then he fed them. He said, just now Prabhupada will come out, just in shortly, he will come for chanting and darshan, and then Vinod Bihari, he arranged them to see Prabhupada. Then the Saranga Goswami, then hearing from Harikatha from Prabhupada, hearing the glories of Mayapur and Yogapit, the glories of the holy name, then his heart was convinced, oh, here I have now met a real sadhu. And then every day, every month, he began donating 5 rupees. That time, 5 rupees would be like today you donating like 5 lakhs or more even. And then the monthly maintenance of the mud, everything was managed easily with that 5 rupees. Also, the Adhu Chandra Bandar Pajai, later he also took Diksha, and he wanted to compile Gauriya Kantahar. He also began giving some monthly donation in that way. But then shortly after, Krishna Karunya Maharaj, because of this seva and hearing Harikatha and coming to the shelter of Prabhupada, then he lost all interest in everything. This is the quality of Sadguru. He said that Tasmad Gurum Prapadyeta Yigyashu Shaya Uttamam Shabde Pare Janishnadam Brahman Upasamashran. So the symptom of a Sadguru is that he realized his Shabda Brahma in Para Brahma, and he is completely detached. And anyone who comes in contact with him also through his Harikatha, through his mercy, they will also become engaged in Bhakti, and they also, this detachment will come in their heart. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayodhita Janayati Ashu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayata. Vairagyam must come. Little contact, you can see immediately then he gave up everything. He said, I want to come now. And they were saying, oh, but how is this 5 rupees and where it will come from? He said, why are you running for 5 rupees? I'll bring 5,000 rupees every month, no problem. And really then Bhakti Saranga Goswami, he took Diksha, everything, and he was given this title Aparakrit Prabhu. So his nature, he was transcendental. Prabhupada also gave him the title Maha Mahopadesha. Not any ordinary instructor, but he was highly learned. He was also the editor of, I think, the Gaudiya. And he was so learned, his character was so transcendental, Aprakrit. Aprakrita Vastu Nahe Prakrita Gocha. You cannot understand Vaishnava by your mundane intelligence and your understanding. Only by hearing from the Vaishnava can we understand something about the Aprakrit transcendental nature. And really then he began going everywhere preaching. He was so clever, intelligent. He knew he would go to these big markets where they would stock wholesale grain there. There would be sacks and sacks of rice and grain and everything, dal, everything. Then he went to the district, this town hall there with the tax collector. He said, I want to borrow your cart. And he said, he preached them, and so for one day, I think he did some, I don't know what reason, but he had owed some favor to Bhaktisidhanta Goswami. He said, I don't need anything, you give me your car and your driver for one day. He took his car and he came with the tax collector's car that the market. When all the shopkeepers they saw, oh, tax collectors come, and immediately they began, hiding their books, this, that, they're all scrambling. And Bhaktisidhanta Goswami said, oh, don't worry, I've not come for this, I've come for this. And he bought one truck, and all the shopkeepers they are giving one bag, 2 bags, all grain and everything. And then within a short time, big truck of all grain and all items, oil, ghee, sugar, everything came to the temple. Then the devotees, they all astonished. Oh, this is not enough not only for 1 month, this is enough for a whole year. And this way, before Gaurapunim, all big festivals, he was always going collecting in this way. One time he saw that, Vaishnava explained, one time he saw there was one big business industrialist. He's running factory, this and that. He felt, oh, he's waste, just like he go to Suvarna Vihar. Then Narad Rishi, he came there, he had compassion on the king there, and he preached to the king and he turned him into devotee. So you're wasting your life. So Bhaktisidhanta Goswami Maharaj, he thought, oh, this person also is wasting his life. He doesn't even have 1 minute time to chant, do any seva, anything. So he came, he told the gate, I want to speak with the boss. So he went to the boss and said, oh, one sadhu is coming. He said, oh, give him 5 rupees and send him. He said, no, I don't want this 5 rupees. Then he went back and he said, no, he doesn't want the 5. Okay, give him 100, send him. And he came back and tried to give 100, no, I want to speak. And then the boss said, no, I don't have any time, send him. So then Saranga Goswami Maharaj, he was not able to meet and he was very sad. Then it happened in like 6 months later, 1 year, he was preaching in that area, and then one beggar came to him and fell at his feet and offered his pranam, touched his feet. Then Bhaktisidhanta immediately stepped back. Said, oh, how can I help you? How can I serve you? And he said, oh, please forgive me, I am a great offender. 1 year ago you came to my factory. You wanted to see me, but I was so proud, I was so puffed up, so intoxicated with my wealth, I didn't even give you 1 minute of my time. And now look what has happened to me. I've lost everything. Now I'm a beggar on the street begging for 2 pennies. Then Bhaktisidhanta said, listen, I did not come for your money. I came to tell you one thing. What I came to tell you then, I'll tell you now. Even now you have the chance. Labdhasi durlamam idam bahu sannavante manusham archanam anisya apiha leda turnam idata napate kalu mrityu yama nityasya vichara kalu saratasya. Napate mrityam. Till your body has not fallen down, do Hari Bhajan. Your sense enjoyment is available in any piece of life. It's human birth is very rare. Do Bhajan. Don't waste your time. Even now you're sitting here, come with me. Take Harimala. Take shelter of Prabhupada. Take shelter of the Vaishnava. Stay in the Dham. Do your Bhajan. But that unfortunate person, still you can see. That's what Paranguru used to say. Someone used to say, oh, you are distributing Harinama. Why don't you distribute food and cloth to these beggars? Paranguru said, our doors are always open. You bring one beggar here, look, I'll show you. Call one beggar. You just leave this begging, I'll give you Harinam, Doti. You just come here, you attend Mangalarti, take Mahaprasad in 3 days, and you just have to chant for 16 rounds. We will maintain you for the rest of your life. And the beggar said, oh, just give me 5 rupees, just give me 5 rupees. He wants 5 rupees, but he doesn't want to come and be maintained for the rest of life and give up all his troubles. So that industrialist also, Saranga gave him mercy, but to accept that mercy, then also there has to be a little bit of desire. Ultimately, our Guru Bhargava, like this Nandasu, even if you don't have the desire, they give you the desire. They give you that begging bowl to receive that mercy. So there, and you can see another speciality about Saranga Goswami Guru is that Gunas Asaktistat Gunaskane Pitistat Bhaktisidhanta. See, wherever his mats are, wherever his Bhakti is always there in very special places. He has his mat there in Imritala, which is where Krishna in the separation of Srimati Radharani is on golden complexion. Mahaprabhu sit there every day and meditate on the frame of Srimati Radhika. Imritala, such an important place, there his mat is there. And where in Nandagaon next to Pavan Sarovar, there next, in the midst of all the Brajvasis, Saranga Goswami's bhajan is there, he is also doing bhajan there. Therefore he is truly upright. Today he is also his Vyas Puja. He is also Anantaranga Parishad of Srila Prabhupada. The unlimited glories. Valena Parichayate. You can see Prabhupada, you can understand Prabhupada's glory by the glory of his Antaraj, his association. So many Vaishnavas, unlimited Vaishnavas. And yesterday all their disciples and grand disciples, they all came here and blessed this place. Not for the first time, but for the second time already. So this is the causeless mercy of Srila Gurudev, this is the causeless mercy of the Vaishnavas. They are arranging for us. They are not giving us money, jewels, diamonds, car, iPhone, laptops, all things. What are they giving us? They are giving us this satsanga. Why? Ekapi amar nahi payabal harinam sankirtane Tumi Kripa Kari Sadha Bindu Diya Deha Krishna Namana. We are praying this way, so Lord Srila Guru Padma and Vaishnava, they may continuously always be merciful to us and keep us from here, because there is one child of the